pop over this year Vox
He
article.
got beat up too, by the way.
Really?
Oh, they beat him up.
Did you see that one journalist who keeps getting beat up and then keeps saying, "Thank you, Antifa. Please may I have another"?
I haven't seen that one, but
So I'm being rude, but there's this like Andy Ngo has tweeted about him. He got beat up the first time,
okay.
and then Andy Ngo was like, Antifa has put a bounty on this guy's head. And so then the dude tweets, the feds, it's actually, you know, it's not Antifa, the feds are trying to stop me. You know, they're committing war crimes. Then they beat him up again, and he posts a video saying something like, yeah, they beat me up, but it's okay. Like, I'll be all right. You know, I'm more concerned with the police. It's like, dude, how many times are you going to get beat up and then you're going to act like,
how many times do we have to teach the same lesson?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So take a look at this article from Vox. Portland polarization and the crisis of the Republican Party. Wow.
What?
That to me, man, is
It is now officially political.
well, it's not confidence building.
Yeah.
Quote, we are witnessing a crisis of democracy that is perfectly acceptable to a significant portion of the population as long as it hurts their enemies.
I don't want anyone hurt.
Okay.
What are they thinking? I really...
It's the old saying, bro.
They really want everyone to believe that there's this huge mass of people that are racist, that want death upon their enemies. It's like, no, we want America to stop fighting and we want to work together. Period. That's what everyone wants. They want this silliness to stop. Most people are looking at these people like they're just spoiled little brats, including myself.
And there are a lot
I'm
of people
sick of it.
that are too stupid to know what's going on and just see this and think it must be true.
Right.
Like, you know what? It's the old saying that Republicans think that Democrats are misguided. Democrats think Republicans are evil.
Right, exactly.
So I think at the highest level, like Vox, I believe the people who run it, I believe they're evil. I do. And the reason I say that, and I use these words, I use like evil very carefully, is because the people who are funding this know exactly what they're funding. They're conscious of it.
Yep.
So a lot of people talk about like grifting on social media. And they say, you know, Tim's just choosing these stories because they get the most clicks and stuff like that. And it's like, actually, I choose the stories that I think are the most interesting and important.
Right, exactly.
Like today I talked about UFOs because that Pentagon thing, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to do as well as me talking. Like I could have recorded a segment on this.
Yeah.
Instead, I was like, I got to talk about UFOs, man. This is fun and crazy.
I gotta. There's nothing concrete yet for me.
Oh, of course.
to see
But
that.
anyway,
Yeah.
the point
Go
is,
ahead.
Vox, CNN, BuzzFeed, these are companies where in the morning the boss comes in and says, who's going to give me that story that gets a million clicks? I'll buy a pizza. And then they're like, I got this story about Joe Biden saying that he wants to defund the police. Nah, no one cares about that. You got something on Trump? I got one of Trump that we can take out of context where it sounds like he wants to like beat a dog to death. Ooh, that's good. How many hits do you think that one will get? 2 million? Run it. The thing about a corporation that does this is that people have to consciously say, what is the story and which one will do better? Run with that one. I've been in these meetings. I've heard them where they've pitched things. Now, it's not that insane. They'll be like, yo, I heard this story about, you know, this guy on a hacking website who got like his name released. And they'll be like, not interesting enough. What about you? I think Donald Trump is racist. That one. Do that one. The people in charge know what they're choosing and why they're choosing it. It's very different from an individual being like, here's my opinion on these issues and here's what I think matters. The company is like, here's our broadly defined or like a, you know, narrowly defined, you know, story purview. If you look at some of these earlier companies, like Mike.com was like libertarian until they realized social justice, the police brutality stuff, it made them more money. This is what I've been told. So I'll just tell you that. It's like, you know, scuttlebutt. But then all of a sudden they became a leftist social justice company because they were chasing the money. The owners were actively pursuing this. The scary thing about this article from Vox is I think they're right. When they say we are witnessing a crisis of democracy, that is true. It is that is perfectly acceptable to a significant portion of the population. Yes, and it hurts their enemies. I believe that of the far left and the Democrats.
So it's the faulty statement there would be the Republican Party. It's more the Democrat Party.
And I can prove it with one simple bit of logic.
Go for it.
The Republicans aren't showing up to the homes of politicians. The Republicans aren't showing up to courthouse buildings and vandalizing and destroying them. And in this context, federal police are not going to the homes of Antifa to beat and detain them.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Creedy's little black bags showing up to a comedian's house, bashing him in the face and throwing him in a van. We're talking about far leftists trying to burn down a building, assaulting police officers, assaulting journalists. They assaulted journalist Michael Tracy. Did you see that video?
Maybe.
They stole his phone from him and say, if you want it back, say Black Lives Matter.
Oh, that one, right.
And then you want to tell me that there's a group of people that are okay with this? When I try talking to my friends saying, hey, they're assaulting journalists, so what? Don't you know what's going on? Why won't you talk about police brutality? And I'm like, because they're beating up a journalist in the street.
Right now.
Yeah. And I messaged you about police brutality when it happened last week. Can you? No. And then they just shut down. No.
Or how about all the kids that are being killed across this country?
Yep.
They're not talking about that.
And how they're lying, conflating diligent valor with Operation Legend.
Yeah, they're definitely mixing those up.
That to me is the creepiest stuff. I want to show you one more thing with this. This is just some article. It's an investigative post. I don't even know what this is, but it's very simple. The state police have troopers trained in emergency response. That's the only sentence you need to hear. So if state security forces show up and say, this is an unlawful assembly, you must disperse. They use the LRAD and they fire tear gas. Yeah, you can complain about it if they're, pushing the boundary and violating your rights. You can complain about it. You can file suit. But to act like it's the end of the world and that Trump is the dictator, it's insane how fake all this is.
Yeah.
They literally just make all this stuff up.
I mean, one can argue that. I know the defamation laws, the libel laws. They're directly causing people to believe that there is a war going on within our country. So you can almost say that these faulty, media posts are leading people to cause violence and actually
Absolutely.
damage communities. It's like there's a direct correlation to their BS and what's actually happening out there.
I was really disappointed.
They got to be held liable for that.
There's a reporter named Josh Rushing. He works for Al Jazeera's Fault Lines, or I think he used to.
Okay.
And I used to, I still respect him. And I say this because it bums me out. He did this bit where he has someone film him while he calls Tucker Carlson on speakerphone. And he's like, Tucker, you recently said that white supremacy was a hoax, and there are people in El Paso that feel like your rhetoric is inflaming things, makes them targeted. Tucker's response was, hey, why don't you send the questions to the media people, because I'm not supposed to do this. And then they made a bit out of it, and it is the lowest form of trash content. And I was surprised at this dude who I guess he had served in the military, maybe a Marine, I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
And then he became like a host for an Al Jazeera show called Fault Lines, and I'm like, this is what it's come to now, man. Like, you're gonna go from reporting in conflict zones to being the guy on the street gotcha-ing Tucker Carlson because someone gave you a cell phone number.
Yeah.
That's what it's become. That's media today. And I was just like, and now what he's doing is he's like reposting it again a year later, like, hey, everybody, look what I did.
Well,
Wow.
in not all media. Huh?
Yeah.
Huh? All right. Sorry. Had to do
We
that.
need to figure how to fix it.
How to hold them liable for lying blatantly to the American public? Yeah, I agree.
You know
We
what, man?
definitely need to figure that out.
It's very difficult. These companies like Vox and Bloomberg have institutional power in the sense that they use their collective viewership to empower people who are really, really dumb and lie. So you get these journalists who normally would have no influence because they're talentless and they're liars. But they're placed up on a pedestal with tens of or hundreds of millions of dollars by major corporations that push their message out. So you get these, I think it's one of the reasons why they really want to control social media, because social media became a open space for meritocracy, where someone like me, for instance, could just start making content and with zero marketing budget, gain a ton of followers and get millions of views. They don't want that. They want the machine to control it.
Yeah.
So now they're like, ban it all, shut it all down. But I'll tell you what, man, it's hard some days when I see Vox, I probably saw like 30 stories all saying the same fake thing. Unidentified police.
Yeah.
Where a judge just ruled they're clearly identifiable in the videos you showed me. What is this?
Yeah, there's
And
a
it's
few friends
two.
of mine that are arguing that, like, how can you defend this Operation Legend that, and look at what's happening in Portland. Of course, they live in Portland.
Right.
And they're like, I go outside, everything's fine. Nothing's like that. Like, how can you say that? And it's just like, you live there and you're telling me that the videos that I'm watching of the actual courthouse being attacked, and then here we have a court order, so the judge issuing like, nope, they're well within their rights to do what they're doing, telling me like, no, it's terrible that you believe that you're the issue, like you're believing the false lies. So they truly believe what the truth is the lie.
Think about how psychotic it is right now that CNN and Oregonian and all of these outlets are arguing that Portland is fine.
Right.
They're like, there's nothing really going on in Portland. It's not burning down. Nothing's happening. And then they turn around and go, Trump's Gestapo. They're snatching people off the streets. It's chaos in Bedlam.
And then
which is it? Which is it? Is it Trump's secret police renditioning people? Or is it everything's fine? Nothing's really happening. I haven't noticed anything. If you live in Portland and you're like, everything's fine, then why would you complain about Operation Legend? Oh, then great. Then you wouldn't care if the FBI shows up to Chicago, right? Because everything's fine amid Donald Trump's diligent valor.
I believe it's Chirac right now.
Yeah, Chirac
is the appropriate label.
It's that simple. If you think the DHS people in Portland is not a big deal because Portland is fine, then why would I believe you when you say, how dare Trump send federal agents to a different city? Why? Your city's fine.
And then we got the press secretary doing a speech to everybody and showing a video of
Fox.
what's actually Fox. Well, they were covering it, and of course she shows video of the actual riots, the actual fire, the actual mortars being shot at the courthouse, and the statues being toppled. Sure, there was some graffiti there that people are claiming, well, there was graffiti that was said a swear word, so they were going to get fined. And it's like, no, that's not what they wanted. They didn't want the general public to see what was going on in Portland. Period. That's what it was. I mean, if you truly, and people are just bombarding any Twitter feed that I see about that, it's just all these people on the left like, no, it was just a swear word. Don't worry, they just took it down from the swear word. It's like, no, that's not what it was. They don't want anyone knowing about the actual goings of Portland right now. They want them to believe that everything's fine in Portland.
They want you to join the Borg.
Yep,
brother.
Exactly.
They want you to be a part of the hive.
There's no war.
There is no war in Ba Sing Se.
Mm-hmm.
You will be assimilated.
Mm-hmm.
Resistance is futile. This is what they want. They want you. They're reactionaries.
Yeah.
Right. So for those that aren't familiar with the phrase, and a lot of people aren't, that's why I'll define it. Reactionary is a reference to, I believe, the French Revolution, where the left wing, and that's where left and right comes from, the Jacobins and the left and the revolutionary types called the right that wanted to support the monarchy reactionaries who reacted to the revolution.
Yeah.
So today, the left is really good at using, they understand the power of semantics and how words shape reality. That's why they change definitions of words.
Racism.
And that's why they will call, they'll call liberal individuals, like freedom-loving individuals, libertarian individuals, conservatives, reactionaries, to imply that you, in fact, are resisting the true progress. When in reality, the left is trying to rewind the clock on everything. Our understanding of freedom of speech, which was earned in Supreme Court battles throughout the 60s. Remember that? You ever see that great Berkeley banner where they march on Berkeley, free speech? Our modern understanding of free speech was solidified in Supreme Court rulings. It wasn't always this way. We had obscenity laws. We had a ton of stuff that restricted us from speaking. So then you get, it's just, it's too tiring sometimes, man.
I believe it.
They change the definitions of words. They call you the reactionary. They call you the fascist. But what these people are doing, repealing civil rights law.
That's insane. That's
reactionary, okay? What happened was we had an ideological revolution that all people are created equal, and we fought very hard for this. It's very simple. If you want to repeal a law to go back to the way things were, you're a reactionary. They call everyone else fascist. Why? Because they actually use those fascist tactics. So they call themselves the not fascists club. And then when they start doing fascist things, they're like, well, we're the not fascists, you moron. We can't possibly do fascism. Now, they're not necessarily doing fascism, but they've cleverly disguised their reactionary views, which is fascistic, for progressivism. Think about how very clever it is to say, we oppose racism, therefore we must repeal civil rights law.
It boggles my mind
that people believe it.
Day. I know. And they're actually out there defending it. It's like, how can you defend that? They think that it's so virtuous, like, oh man, but we're gonna get true diversity.
They don't think it's. I don't think so. I think
in their head, dude, they're thinking that.
Maybe like the grunts and the peons.
Yeah, the people who truly believe it's a good thing, they think it's a good thing.
Yep.
They think it's a virtue.
And this is you can easily verify, like, the way I see this is very, I believe it's logically, I believe I'm correct, and it's very simple. First, one of the tactics, they call the proposition to repeal civil rights the affirmative action amendment.
Right.
And all it does is repeal civil rights.
Yeah.
That's incredible. The Democrats realized that they were like, wait a minute, all of the racist things that were really hard to get done, I know. Democrats decided they'll pretend not to be racist, and then they can start doing all the racist things and no one will stop them.
It works.
And then label this bill that we're going to push forward as the affirmative action bill.
Yeah, man.
When literally it just strikes civil rights law.
Yep, exactly.
They're reactionaries that want to turn back the clock on our freedoms, our civil rights, while arguing it's you that wants to do it. Let me tell you something. When someone on the right, a libertarian, a moderate, politically homeless IDW says individuals deserve freedom no matter what their race, color, creed, national origin, that is progress. That is us recognizing the fundamental human rights, the unalienable rights of every person that was originally enshrined in the Constitution and we fully realized over the next 100, 200 years. They're trying to literally repeal those laws to take it back to a simpler time because they're racists.
Right. So all those crazy Democrat leftists that were yelling at Trump when he was like, "Make America Great Again," when Reagan said it, Clinton said it. Bill Clinton said it for Hillary Clinton in 2008 too. That blew me away. I was like, wow, that wasn't even that long ago. And now they're like, oh, what time do you want to go back to? And it's like when our infrastructure was solid.
Yeah. Right.
When pipes in Flint, Michigan were good. You know, it's like,
there's
what?
There's a graphic that I see a bunch of lefties share. It's from Robert Reich, I think his name is. And it shows like the great prosperity of like 1947 to 1979. And it's like every class in the country was skyrocketing in wealth.
Yeah, that's a good era, actually.
And then from 1980 till now, only the top 1% has grown while the middle class has been stagnant. So when Donald Trump, so I see everyone sharing this, like what happened? How come we were all doing so, every class was doing so well and something changed in 1980 and now only the 1% is prospering. So you're saying you want to make America great again? You want to go back to the old days?
Yes.
1940s when the economy was bolstering. Is that what you're saying?
1950s,
1950s, 60s.
What happened in the 60s? Welfare was created also. We've had this conversation, so I know where you're leading into this.
No. I mean, I wasn't.
Oh, you want to talk about it, though?
What I was going to say is there's a lot of factors
Okay.
that resulted in the middle class stagnation. I mean, immigration is one, feminism is one, welfare is one. But the point I'm bringing up is when Donald Trump says, make America great again, and they say, when was America great? I bring you back to all of the leftists who said, remember when we had a 90% tax rate? Maybe Trump meant that. Oh, you don't think he did? I don't either. The point is,
Biden's trying to bring back higher taxes.
Yeah, that's true. No, the point is, there was a lot of things that the left claims were better way back when. Mm-hmm. And if Trump says he wants to make America great again, then why don't you can just be like, oh, that thing you talked about, the tax bracket? Yeah, that's when America was great. How about that? Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify. And we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.